Got to give the people, and the people want Mr. Bass to do better than he did on Friday because that was very confusing. Give the people what they want. All right, y'all. Let's do a couple of these practice problems. So, this is going to be practice of composing functions. Please pay special attention to the notation. Make sure everything you're doing is lined up and labeled, all right? So, let's do the first one together so you don't have to try to do this on your own. Let's find g of f of t, okay? So what that means is I'm looking at t, and then I got to plug that into f, and then I take f and I plug it into g. So now I'm looking at t, and that's already plugged into f, so there's nothing I really have to do there. So I just need to take f and plug it into g, okay? So I'm going to do g of f of t. And that equals. So g of f says negative 2 times t squared. I'm leaving place to plug f in for t, minus 1. Okay? And now I'm going to take f of t and plug it in. So in there, I have 2t minus 1. So now, this is nothing but a big old Gemma problem. But if I'm going to follow Gemma, right, I have to do my grouping. I see my grouping. There's nothing I can do inside of there. Then I have to do my exponents. So I have to do 2t minus 1 squared, which means 2t minus 1 times 2t minus 1. Remember, that does not equal 2t squared minus 1. That means I have to do the area model. 2t minus 1, 2t minus 1. 4t squared is there, negative 2t is here, negative 2t is here, and positive 1. Okay? So when I put those together, I end up with 4t squared. Those are like terms, so that's minus 4t plus 1. So this whole thing, when I squared it, became 4t squared minus 4t plus 1, right? That's what happened when I squared it. We did that right here. I still have this minus 1 here, and I still have times negative 2. Why don't you do what you think the next step is? But if I go back to Gemma, I look at the grouping. There's nothing I can do inside the grouping. I look at the exponents. There's nothing I can do with t squared because I don't know what t is, so there's nothing else for me to do. So now I go to multiplying and dividing. I need to take negative 2 and multiply it with everything in here. So negative 2 times 4 is negative 8t squared. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8t. And negative 2 times 1 is minus 2. And then I had all that, and I had a minus 1. Now, I see, okay, I have this, but I have these like terms that I can put together. So I end up with negative 8t squared plus 8t minus 3. Boom, boom, boom. That is g of f of t. That's what it equals. All right. All right. So now we're looking at this and we're doing the same thing. I have to take 3z and plug it into f. Notice 3z is not in f right now. So I'm going to take 3z and plug it anywhere. Where I see f of t, I'm going to put a 3z in place of anywhere I see a t. Once I get that, I'm going to plug that into g. So let's go ahead and start. And just to remind myself, f of t, right, I can't see it when I pull this down. Or actually, I can see it right here, so that's fine. So let's plug 3z into f. So we're going to start off with f of 3z, okay? So I'm looking at f of t, and it's 2t minus 1, so it's 2 times t minus 1. And anywhere there was a t, I'm going to put a 3z. So it's 2 times 3z minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify this thing out. 2 times 3z is 6z minus 1. So f of 3z equals 6z minus 1. Now I'm going to take this and plug it into g. So g was, where is g? Negative 2t squared minus 1. So we're going to find g of now 6z minus 1. Okay? And g, as I look back, it was negative 2t squared minus 1. So I have negative 2t squared minus 1. This is where I plug in the 6z minus 1. So let's see. 6z minus 1. All right, I'm taking that and plugging it in. For g, notice how I'm labeling every part. So now I'm going to simplify this again. So again, I have 6z minus 1 squared. So at this point, you should be like, all right, it's squared, so I have to draw the square, the area model, 6z minus 1, 6z minus 1. 36z squared minus 6z minus 6z plus 1. So this whole thing became 36z squared minus 12z plus 1. These I can, like term, put those together. 36z squared minus 12z plus 1. That's what that became. We have this minus 1 up here. And we still have this times negative 2 in the front. I'm going to continue to do this. So now I have to distribute this negative 2 through because we're following Gemma. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So what's that? Negative 72z squared. Negative 2 times negative 12 is plus 24z. And negative 2 times 1 is minus 2. And then we still have this minus 1. And finally, I see some like terms that I can put together. So I have negative 72z squared plus 24z minus 3. That is my final simplification. All right, one last one now. Why don't you try? I want you to try this one before me and then see if you did it right. Pause here and do that. All right, let's see. G of f of 7. So that means I have to plug 7 into f, and then I need to take that and plug it into g. So I'm going to start with figuring out what f of 7 is. So f of x was negative 3 times x squared plus x. And in place of that x, I put a 7. So everywhere there was an x, I put a 7. Cool, cool, cool. So f of 7, my exponent, 7 squared, is 49. That's a negative 3 plus 7. Keep it going. Negative 3 times 49. I don't know what that is. 49 times 3. 49 times clear. 49 times 3 is negative 147 plus 7. Keeping that going, negative 147 is negative 140. So f of 7 equals negative 140. This is what I have to plug in to g. So now I'm going to find g of negative 140. And g of x said x plus 2. So I have x plus 2. And what do I put in place of x? Negative 140. Negative 140 plus 2 is negative 138. My final answer. Hopefully you're seeing how it's being represented, how one piece leads into another. We'll have all class to practice this next time. All right, Mr. Bass, I'm out. Peace.